What down with the YouTube? It's Marty 2 Major, and I'm back with another reaction video. Today we're gonna be reacting to 10 human mistakes that cause huge lawsuits. If y'all hear that noise in the background, that's the crickets. It's dark as a bit where I'm at right now. But we gonna dive right into it and we ain't gonna waste no time.
In the cockpit, the pilots have survived, but they have no idea how badly damaged their aircraft is.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at human errors that led to disasters, personal injury, and legal action. We're not including incidents that were teed up by other factors like technical or equipment flaws.
Stella Liebeck spilled just 8 ounces of coffee, but she attracted a flood of attention.
Snail in the bottle. An initially pleasant evening for May Donahue and a friend included a Scotsman ice cream float at Well Meadow Cafe in Paisley, Scotland.
Everything was paid for by May Donahue's friend.
She had eaten much of the treat when a dead snail came with the last pour of ginger beer. This was a terrible oversight in the bottling or shipping process by manufacturer Mr. Stevenson.
May Donahue didn't just get ginger beer.
The combination of bacteria and sheer disgust caused Donahue to fall seriously ill. The subsequent writ against Mr. Stevenson reached the House of Lords, despite there being no visible injuries that constituted damages under British tort laws. That threshold changed after Donahue was awarded the modern equivalent of over £40,000. This landmark case has been keeping food manufacturers more on their toes ever since.
The decisions of courts in cases such as Donahue against Stevenson are hugely important and have a significant impact on the development of the law.
The misdiagnosis of Alan Navarro. Alan Navarro entered the University Community Hospital in Tampa complaining of a serious headache and double vision. These are signs of a stroke, but also a bad sinus infection. An unlicensed physician's assistant diagnosed the patient with the latter and sent him home with painkillers. The next day, Navarro was rushed into surgery and permanently lost the use of his limbs following a 3-month-long coma. An underqualified diagnostician's snafu led to the Navarro family suing Carrollwood Emergency Physicians for $116.7 million. The court awarded them over $217 million in 2006. After one of the largest medical malpractice verdicts in U.S. history, Navarro donated the entire amount of punitive damages to charity. He passed away in 2018. McDonald's coffee. Because Stella Liebeck's car didn't have cup holders, she had to use her legs to hold a cup of coffee bought at an Albuquerque McDonald's drive-thru. The 79-year-old ended up spilling the drink in her lap.
Stella Liebeck was a 79-year-old widow sitting in the passenger seat of a parked car when she was burned on February 27, 1992.
It was her mistake, but McDonald's paid the price. After skin grafts and temporary disability, Liebeck sued the fast food giant for insufficient containment of and warning about their excessively hot beverage.
All I remember is trying to get out of the car. I screamed, not realizing I was burned that bad.
The public debated over whether this was frivolous litigation or if McDonald's really was liable. Though Liebeck technically caused her own injury, the court ruled that the extent of it warranted nearly $3 million in damages. McDonald's now has warning labels on hot coffee cups, but still heats the drink to around 180 degrees Fahrenheit.
The size of the award got the media's attention.
That's on Shorty. Well, I ain't gonna even say Shorty because she older than a regular human, but if you get burned, how could they control it? That's on you.
But it overshadowed the rest of the story.
Pentium FDIV bug. The computer tech company Intel introduced the Pentium microprocessor in 1993.
And the Intel Pentium processor for the next generation of compatible power.
The following year, mathematician Thomas R. Nicely discovered a bug that caused incorrect floating point results in some significant calculations. The legal fallout was not over the bug itself, but Intel's response. They decided to not go forward with an immediate recall due to the rarity of the error.
Numbers that fall into place instantly.
The reasoning that it wouldn't be an issue for most users didn't account for industries that rely on esoteric and precise calculations. Several companies forced Intel's hand, with the incident ultimately costing them around $475 million in total. It doesn't take a computer to recognize the poor judgment in ignoring any flaws in a product.
The Intel Pentium processor.
Comair Flight 5191. A large aircraft operated by the Delta subsidiary Comair was scheduled to depart runway 22 in Kentucky's Bluegrass Airport. However, pilot Jeffrey Clay taxied to the shorter runway 26. The plane failed to clear a wall in the adjacent woods, killing 49 of the 50 people aboard.
Comair Flight 5191 hurtles into a field less than half a mile from the runway.
First Officer James Polhinky survived with severe injuries and had to have a leg amputated. Most of the passengers' families filed lawsuits that ultimately cost Comair over $270 million in settlements and damages. Comair in turn sued the Federal Aviation Administration for understaffing air traffic control, leaving U.S. taxpayers with 22% of the bill. This goes to show the potentially huge consequences of a single oversight in commercial aviation.
5191 was, according to this veteran pilot, just an accident in every sense of the word.
Asiana Airlines Flight 214. After traveling from Incheon, South Korea, Asiana Airlines Flight 214 clipped a seawall during its final descent in San Francisco on the morning of July 6, 2013. More than 180 were injured in the subsequent crash, and 2 children were killed.
Impact was very violent.
A third was fatally hit by a fire truck when SFFD arrived during the frantic evacuation. The department later settled a lawsuit by the girl's family in confidence. Meanwhile, an investigation found that the flight crew over-relied on and failed to quickly manage the plane's complicated autopilot system.
First, choosing an autopilot mode rarely used during descent. Then pulling back on the thrust levers when that error put the plane into a climb.
Both Asiana Airlines and the plane manufacturer Boeing were hit with more than 100 lawsuits over technology that was too hard to work and a crew that couldn't handle the pressure.
We've talked a lot about over-reliance on automation, but airplanes still fly pretty much the same way they have for decades.
Willie King's leg. Diabetic vascular disease meant that Willie King's right leg would have to be amputated at Tampa's University Community Hospital. He awoke to the news that Dr. Ronaldo Sanchez had instead removed his left leg. But of course, the surgeon was just the last party in a system designed to prevent such awful mistakes. It was the surgical order that signed off on the left leg, which was prepped accordingly by staff. Nonetheless, Sanchez was fined, lost his medical license for 6 months, and
if you ever lose your leg, think about it like this. You got one more leg, and you able to still walk. So don't even stress about it. Just be grateful that you still living. You know what I'm saying?
paid $250,000 on top of the $900,000 the patient received from the hospital. There's no real compensation for King having to lose both of his legs. Systemic safeguards count for nothing once the first domino falls. Jack in the Box outbreak. More than 700 people in the western United States contracted E. coli in 2 months. The origin was contaminated beef delivered to 73 locations in the fast food chain Jack in the Box.
At first it was 25. Within a few more days it was 100, and then 150, and then 200.
Of course, that shouldn't be a problem if the meat is fully cooked. The outbreak truly escalated because so many hamburgers were served undercooked during a special promotion. Jack in the Box's initially successful project to raise customer demand ended with a $50 million class action suit settlement. They also covered victims' hospital bills.
Jack in the Box is running full-page ads in newspapers offering condolences to victims.
After legal action reached the provider Foodmaker Inc., the federal government tightened food safety measures and raised the standard temperature for cooking hamburgers. It's just a shame that this took a misguided promo in many careless kitchens.
The USDA for the first time set a zero-tolerance policy for E. coli 0157 in raw ground beef.
American Airlines Flight 587, a regularly scheduled flight from New York to Santo Domingo, had just taken off when it crashed into a neighborhood in Queens. All 260 people on board were killed, as well as 5 bystanders. The already devastating tragedy caused a nationwide panic, as this was just 2 months after the September 11th terrorist attacks in New York. This prompted a speedy investigation, which found that First Officer Sten Molin overcompensated with rudder input against wake turbulence, breaking the plane's vertical stabilizer.
Holy crap!
American Airlines paid confident.
You gotta know what you're doing when you in that air. Like, you gotta know what you're doing every single time. You can't be 80% confident, 85, 95. You gotta be 100% confident and willing to face all obstacles that come your way.
Substantial settlements and lawsuits that alleged anything from improper maintenance and training to a design flaw. The truth is that one pilot's misjudgment brought more trauma to an already terrified world.
They concluded that it was the inputs that were being made on the controls that led to the structural failure and then no other factor.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Take care of Maya. Beata and Jack Kowalski admitted their daughter Maya to Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital for her complex regional pain syndrome. But hospital staff were skeptical of this rare respiratory, muscular, and skin condition, and concerned about the 9-year-old's extensive ketamine treatments. Child Protective Services thus took custody of her on the belief that she was being abused by Beata.
And I told her, I miss my mom, I miss my mom.
After months of futile legal action, Maya returned home and continued treatment after her mother took her own life. Nearly 7 years later, the Kowalskis were awarded over $200 million in a malpractice and wrongful death suit.
The 6-person jury siding with the family in this major $220 million lawsuit.
With the popular Netflix documentary Take Care of Maya preceding this, the world witnessed how even the most trusted institutions are prone to tragic error.
These families walked in hoping for help for their child, and some of them walked out in handcuffs.
What are